Um, just kind of let you know how we got here. So about 2 years ago, I was looking into like cloud archiving and that sort of thing. And man, we ended up going down the Sky rabbit trail. And I just presented this in my business plan, the slide that we're looking at here, um, for this year. And I was even working with, Graham. Now that Graham's taken over the cloud side, and I was just showing him, look, guys, I know you're wanting us to push Sky, but when I throw these numbers down, it just doesn't make sense. So this was an example showing, hey, this is if I bought a WRN. I know you guys don't love the WRN, but from a price point standpoint, with licensing and everything, 2,300 bucks out the door, with 12 cameras, 4 megapixel. If I try to do that with Sky, not only was it more money up front, but then you see the yearly savings on the right. I could buy quite a nice system, 5, 10 years from now. So more or less just pointing out that Sky is not really the right fit. And on top of that, it wasn't even really truly a competitor to the people that I was running into. And you guys may feel the same way. I mean, the guys that are doing a good job in this were Ava, Verkada, even smaller company Rhombus I've ran into a little bit. Ava is really picking up big. Now I'm actually running against them in multiple bids. Verkada, I'm not running into as much after the hacks and things that took place. So I'd kind of thrown out there, hey,
Hey,
what these?
hey,
Go
Sam,
ahead.
up here.
Yeah.
So Verkada, we're still hitting quite a bit in Tennessee. I don't know about Mississippi, but the reason that we're hitting them a lot in Tennessee is because they're selling to the end user and handing it to the dealer to
Yeah.
go install. So dealers aren't having to go out and sell this; they're just handing them a PO. So we
Yeah.
still run into them. Verkada is still a formidable opponent for us.
Yeah, they've done a good job of that Rolodex calling. I mean, really just hammering the phones, getting to the end user.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and handing it back, right? There's a company in Georgia that Brian works with a lot. I think they've actually sold a couple of Verkadas to some K-12 too, Adaptasolve, if I'm not mistaken, Brian.
Yeah,
I think
so to speak to that, they've actually, I asked Jake, the owner's son, actually, this past week, what their Verkada sales were over the last 2.5 years. He said somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million.
holy cow.
Just project alone, Columbus Consolidated Government was like 2.4 million.
Jeez.
So yeah, the
hey,
sales
so
are
Brian,
there.
are you seeing the same thing we are, where they're not the integrators really not going out and selling it? All they're doing is just getting a PO and installing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're generating all the leads and just handing it basically an order right to Adaptasolve.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the problem. And because the interesting thing, the integrators that we deal with that actually use them don't like Verkada. They don't like their salespeople. They don't like the product, but it's hard for them to say no when you're getting handed a PO.
Yeah. Of course, they're going to take the money and run and get, happy to go put it in. So we'll quickly browse through this. The main thing I want to point out on this slide is the pieces of the puzzle. Okay. So the problem I was having with this is, okay, I got to go tell the customer to go buy this Tiger Bridge. So basically it's the plug-in software that tied to the cloud. And then I had to go tell them how to go buy the cloud piece of it. And then they also still had to buy Wave VMS. And so basically what happened was it was like we had all these ancillary pieces to a puzzle, but not like one easy, one throat to choke solution to go after this. So as you see here, I had WASnet, it laid out. Anyways, so the whole point of this is to get to what ended up kind of happening. Again, I was pushing the fact that really Verkada and Ava are more CAS-based systems. They're basically just a camera with a hard drive. The beauty of it for an IT guy is I don't have all this bandwidth going across my network constantly. It's just like Wave, unless somebody's necessarily viewing into the software, I'm not having that data transmit across, to anywhere. So that was kind of one thing that they're really pushing to their IT guys with Verkada, with Ava, et cetera. And then they do an archiving, off peak hours to the cloud. So when we started talking that CAS solution, that's really more in line with the competitors, not so much Sky. Would you guys agree? Is that kind of what you were running into as well?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes, 100%.
So about 20 something days ago, maybe 15 plus days ago, I ran into, I hit up Jaslyn, who runs Wasabi, because I don't know what her new job title is, whatever, but she ended up giving me this link to what's known as Wasabi Surveillance Cloud. And that's exactly what they finally did. I used to be able to buy 1 terabyte of Wasabi for like $5 or $6 a month. Well, all they did is they partnered with Tiger Bridge and they created this thing called Wasabi Surveillance Cloud. It's a single download. You go click it, and it's a package where you get the direct point to the Wasabi storage, and then on top of that, you get the plugin for the Tiger Bridge for Wave. So you just go download this on your Wave server, and within 5 minutes, I was up and running. I had a full cloud mirror of my hard drives right off the bat. So I was like, wow, that's pretty slick. And it solves some of the problems, and it's $9 a month, reoccurring. So so then I started kind of playing with, all right, let's try out the different methods here. So this is the basic architecture like we were talking about. So you got your Wave server, you download the application, WSC, Wasabi Surveillance Cloud, onto there. And then from there, I'll kind of walk you further of what that looks like. But the point being, it's so easy, the sales guy can do it. So within 5 minutes, like I said, up and running. So these are kind of the different methodologies of the archiving. So you got disaster recovery. It prompts you right off the bat. Do you want to do basic, advanced with analytics, or none? Well, right off the bat, I didn't know. I just said, I think the basic one or whatever. And sure enough, 5.4 terabytes backed up directly to the cloud. Meaning, if my server totally took a crap, I could then just go get that data and put it right back on a server, refresh the archive, and I'd be off to the races with all my video data. However, I didn't want to put 5.4 terabytes in the cloud. I was just playing with it, and the demo trial only gives you a terabyte anyways. So I said, all right, well, let's see what a cloud extension does. So I went into my Wave server. So for instance, you guys know you can do this, but if you go into your Wave server settings, you go to your storage analytics, you can go figure out what a forecasted storage looks like. So that's what I did over the longest period and saw, okay, about 4 months, 120 days was how much I'm getting on prem. So if I wanted to do 1 terabyte, it would take me to right around that 5 month mark. So then what I did is I went inside of Wasabi, which I'll kind of pull up what that looks like here via AnyDesk. So let me bring this over. So here's the Wasabi piece of it. And this is the cloud bridge part. So like I said, it's very simple. Disaster recovery I've got turned off now because I didn't need that much storage up in the cloud. But if you notice, I got the storage extension set up here. And again, the thing that I did was I had mine set up at one point to days. The other neat thing that I did find out that I'll go back to inside of Wave is this. So Wave actually manages the archive. And why is that important? Because right here in your Keep Archive for, the way the Tiger Bridge software or the Wasabi stores your files, it actually stores them as what's known as like stub files. So that's important because with these stub files, and we'll kind of dig into this since I'm on the server here. So this is so here you go. These are what stub files look like, where it's got these little X's. So essentially it's created almost like a temporary file that points to the information that's in the cloud. So what really blew me away is when I went back to review my video in Wave, it was seamless. I didn't notice like a lag or a gap or anything like that as I went further back into my data archive. So I just thought that it was really slick in the way that they did those stub files. So again, it's just kind of referencing what's been archived to the cloud. Again, this is important. Keep your archive for. So basically what I was saying is after that 120 days or so, I want the remaining days to go and store, offsite in the cloud. So that is one thing that we probably want to discuss with management and see if there's a better way to do it. But anyways, Wave handles the amount of time in which to store the archive. And they do a decent job of explaining that in the, I'll show you right here. So it actually says it. The VMS sees all data as being local, even when it's in the cloud. Retention period set on the VMS. So that's something, again, just wanted to point out. But I could have also done this by age. Right now I'm doing it by hard drive. And just to show you it's working, the hard drives were running head to tail, chasing tail. So they were full up, right? Showing 100%. But now if I go look at my hard drives, you'll see that they're running more efficiently. So the 80% is going to disk and the 20% is archiving to cloud. So it's just a way to even make my disk run a little more efficiently. This is just my final test. Because again, going back to presentation now, we're going to look at the different, again, format types. So we had disaster recovery, storage extension, which that's all I really wanted. I wanted on-prem, and then after a certain amount of time, archive off. That would be great for someone like a Waffle House. That would be great for, I got a customer right now. Same thing, it's a mental health institute, and they got so much liability that they have ridiculous amounts of retention. And what they're doing right now doesn't make any sense. They're taking hard drives out, paying a person, driving across town, putting a new hard drive in, taking it to a warehouse and storing it in a box. And they do this for years. It's probably be cheaper to pay $9 a month per terabyte. So this DR extension I got highlighted because I'm still fiddling with that, and I'll show you why. So again, I already showed this. You can just click that highlight box, but as soon as you put the software on, you get a prompt for basic, advanced, or none. So if you weren't wanting to do a mirror of your data, you would want to do, none to start off with, and then on this next slide here, you would go to your storage extension. Highlighted down there, keeping that archive underneath the camera side. And then again, you can do it by age. I got to get some answer still from Wasabi on that. Because if you read it, it says recordings not accessed for a specific time interval. So does that mean that if it hasn't been reviewed within X amount of days, archive? So I got to get some clarification on that, but I did play with it. It worked flawlessly. I did like a 7 days and then a 30-day extension, and it seemed to work great. As far as I was seeing the on-prem and seeing the data going up to the cloud for the extra 30 days. Stop me at any time if I'm blowing through this too fast, but this was the last piece, the disaster recovery and the storage extension aspect of it. So the pieces of the puzzle that we have in Wave that don't necessarily, again, this is so simplistic the way that they've done it. I mean, it's just these are your options. And again, it automatically points to the Wasabi. You pick the closest one to you, and then your access keys. I'll show you that real quick because that is important. Once you create your account, inside of here, let's go to, you have a console manager here. So this is actually Wasabi console. So you actually create these access keys and then you mail it to yourself. So these are like private keys, obviously for security. And once you create it, you also get you get this key, and then you also get a private share key. And that's what, again, gives you that additional security. So you actually put that information in to actually tie it to that account. So let me open this back up. So that's where the secret key is, and that's where I got that access key, is right off of my Wasabi console. You name your bucket and you hit apply, and it just starts working. This is one of the things Christian pointed out today, though, is we have some really neat features in Wave for backup. So I could actually tell it what time of day, what limit megabits per second during those hours I want it to be, or unlimited, like I had mine drawn up there. And then also you have the different option where maybe I only want motion, maybe I want motion objects, maybe I want bookmarks, etc., or just low stream or high stream. So we have these granular options built into Wave, but the thing is, with the way this connects, those are useless for this type of archiving. So just pointing some of these things out as potential benefits that we need to continue to work through. But finally, this is really nice. So I'll send you guys a copy of this presentation too. Just don't distribute because it's obviously just something we're playing with right now. But it does have the free trial link. So you can go sign up right now, download this surveillance cloud. You get 30 days of a terabyte in the cloud to play with. So, feel free to do that. And then this is just they've already built documentation even for us, tied into Hanwha in a couple different areas. That one's a basic one about Wasabi, but they also have one how to install it with Wave as well. So needless to say, that was pretty much all of it. But just kind of a snapshot
Hey,
of,
Pierce,
yeah.
are there any limitations to analytics?
No, so that's the beauty. Now we're not selling two VMS platforms that don't talk to each other. So now you're just selling Wave. Everything that's Wave, it's seamless Wave.
So I guess the obvious question is why would we sell Eagle Eye, rebranded Eagle Eye now?
We wouldn't. I see no purpose because I don't know about you guys, but 9 out of 10 of my customers that say they want cloud, once I finish explaining Wave, that their cloud users, their settings, their camera settings, and all those things reside in the cloud. They have access to add users remotely from sync.wave VMS, and I show them all those things. They have the mobile app capability. They go, oh, I don't need cloud then. Now, granted, I still got that 1 out of 10 customers that typically they're like, well, what we really need is we just need to archive to the cloud for liability reasons in case a slip and fall comes a year from now. We just want to have the footage. So I don't know, you guys run into the same thing where most of the customers, when you really truly educate them, they realize they don't need cloud.
No, absolutely. Probably the only place that still needs it is those places like pharmacies that are concerned with when they grab the on-site hard drives. They want cloud backup as an option, but you're 100% right. Once you educate them, 99% say, "Oh, that's not what I was looking for. I was just looking
Yeah.
for archiving." Yeah.
But you can still do that with Wasabi. You can back up video as it's written to the
Mm-hmm.
hard drive. You can back it up to Wasabi immediately.
Yep. And Kevin even pointed out to me, because this is, and keep in mind, everything I've shown you right now is purely Windows based. Kevin showed me that there is an R clone option. Again, this is stuff that like we're gonna have to dig in deeper with product management. But the point being, there is an option for Linux with R clone that we might be able to utilize this on like some of our Linux based WRNs or Linux based servers as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. And Wasabi already has an entire write-up knowledge base on how to do it. So that's very important.
So I can use this archive right now, Pierce, is what you're saying.
100%. When I give you this presentation, go to that last slide of the presentation. This link right here, click it, and you can go play with it for 30 days, free trial.
Okay, cool.
Yep. You can try the different methodologies and everything there. So. And the timing couldn't have been better. Like I just happened to play with this 15, 20 days ago. Kevin and I have been talking it through and messing with it. And then sure enough, Jaslyn from Wasabi hits me up and goes, hey, am I talking to the right people at your company? And we're talking about an OEM arrangement. And I said, well, who are you talking to? She said, Tom Cook and Lloyd Taylor and Mark Heinzman. I was like, yes, I'm a nobody. I'm a peon. I just happen to be playing with your software. But I'll be happy to show them, what we've done so far. So the timing was just really good, is the point of that conversation. You guys see a potential here? I mean, $9 a month of terabyte for cloud archive.
100%. The fact that
that's way
it
better.
works with Wave,
Yeah.
this is way better. Way
Way
better
better.
than Eagle Eye. Hey, one other interesting comment though. So I was at the Milestone Southeast meeting right in December, and before my presentation, Jocelyn with Wasabi was on, and Milestone. This is kind of their 2023 initiative too, is to partner much more with Wasabi for their cloud options. So it's kind of that's kind of interesting.
And do you guys know why people are going to Wasabi, just from a pricing perspective? Are you guys familiar at all with like AWS versus Azure versus, all these different ones? So
Egress cost.
exactly. So huge. So for instance, you got cold store and you got so with cold store versus what's the other terminology, Kevin? Why am I blanking right now? I guess it's hot storage, cold storage. So one, it's being archived, and you're basically paying a certain dollar amount per month that you're viewing that software. So where the other guys really tear you up from a cloud perspective is they charge you considerably more for that hot storage to actually use the storage. Whereas with Wasabi, it's a flat rate. Nobody else really has that same flat rate. So if you go and start looking at, let's say you're, even 1 terabyte a month, and you're doing a 20% download a month. So you're viewing 20% of that data a month. This is your yearly cost with a couple of the different competitors. So you can see where the Wasabi side is saving them a ton of money. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the VMSs, like Terry mentioned, Milestone teaming up with Wasabi, is because they're a flat rate for the storage. I mean, it's hard to beat $6 a month per terabyte. So I think it's definitely something viable. Obviously, we still got to vet through some stuff. What I'd like to see is some scenarios of what does the uplink look like? What's a recommended number of cameras? What, stuff like that. Just some documentation so we don't get ourselves in trouble when we go to push this. But I definitely like it over the other scenario for sure.
And there's no matrix that says we change price based on megapixels, based on analytics. It's just straight fee, right?
Just straight storage,
Yeah.
And I love using this as your basis, right? Because we've already got this tool built in, so you can kind of get a ballpark with somebody that's already had a system on board of, all right, how many what does another terabyte look like for retention, So you can really give them an idea that that the total, what they do is they build in a $3 cost, I think, for the Tiger Bridge piece, and then the $6 a month for the terabytes, or $9 a month times three terabytes here. So you can tell them, hey, Mr. Integrator, $27 a month is your cost to extend them for another 60 plus days of archive extension, and then they turn around, they can sell that. But if we had done 12 of those 4 megapixel cameras, let's go back to it. What were they looking at? It was just ridiculous. So their monthly reoccurring was $224.88 a month to the integrator. So you see the cost savings there based on what we were just talking about.
Yeah, so with Wasabi, that's what, 2 terabytes worth?
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, if you could get 20 terabytes of cloud backup for that,
right,
24,
pretty inexpensive.
which would probably be like 9 months of.
Yep. So that's my push and kind of what I've been playing with and some of the reasoning behind it. So just wanted to share. Again, Sim had mentioned he just wanted a little more info on it, so threw it out to everybody and thought it'd be a good time. Sorry it's a Friday at 3, but hey, I appreciate everybody hopping on.
Thank you,
Hey,
guys.
Pierce, one
Yeah.
last
Thanks,
question.
Pierce.
In terms of like pointing cameras to the storage, can you within Wave select just certain cameras off a system, like the front door camera, for example? I want that one pushed in the cloud, but the others I don't care about. Is there an option for that?
See, that's the thing, Christian and I, that's a fly in the ointment for us. So I don't see a way to do that yet. And that's what's frustrating is if you go down here, to wave, like if we could incorporate this right here, we could do that because we already have that granularity inside a wave because underneath your backup settings. So if we could figure out a way that it just turned on the backup feature in wave. So, you know, if you go to your right click your camera, right click your server settings, and then go to backup, I can do that in wave. You know, I can archive to pick even what type of stream, if I want all streams or just a low stream. So if we could just have them have some form of code or data that just turns that feature set on in our software and know to do it, that's all we need to do. But yeah, I'm with you. That's one of those gotchas that's not there yet.
Well, couldn't you just make the Wasabi folder the backup storage?
Make the Wasabi folder the backup storage. Let me think
Doesn't
about it.
Doesn't Wasabi create a virtual drive?
This is what it
That's how it works.
does. So they just create those stub files. There's really no drive, but
So you're
what
telling
if-
it just, but if you had, you could partition your hard drive, a small partition as the backup, and that would just be what Wasabi would grab, and then it would look like a, larger drive than just the local partition.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because the other thing, because you know how we do this, so Tiger Bridge, when you put in Hanwha as the VMS, it automatically just starts pulling this file. That's the thing. There's really no option to go change that currently. Not saying that we couldn't change that. But to your point, Kevin, that would be a way to do it.
'Cause then you can selectively back up certain cameras
Right.
with Wave.
Yeah. So if all we'd have to do is make that happen. And again, see the X's stub files there versus if I go to a newer one, it'll actually show. Let's see here. Regular files. There you go. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a good point. I think you could do it that way. And that's just a way to get around it to answer Brian's question. So, but these are the kind of things that we got to get product management on right now and kind of get some answers from Wasabi on. But that was pretty much it. I appreciate everybody's time and hope everybody has an awesome weekend.
Hey, Pierce, before we get off, great job, man. Thanks for sharing this. This is super impressive because I've just been hearing through the network that Wasabi was expensive and you just laid out to where it's not. And this to me is a much simpler, more efficient sell than Eagle Eye.
Yeah, they really, the fact they bundled it makes it easier for us too
Yeah.
from an OEM side. So,
No,
Yep.
Great. Good job, Pierce. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks,
Kevin,
Pierce.
me, you, Christian, and I guess we'll work with whoever else. We'll get this thing figured out.
And Kevin and Christian, thank y'all too. I didn't mean to omit y'all, but thank you very much for running point on this because this is really a big deal.
Pierce has really done the heavy lifting.
Hey, they're the brains behind the operation, Terry. My sales stops at some point technical, and they just pick up that baton and run with it after that. I don't think their hamster ever stops. So. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it again. I'm going to end this recording and see what it does from there.
All right. Talk to you
Thanks,
later.
Pierce.
See you guys.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks again.